yet. Okay. Is anybody seeing me yet? Let me know, because I've been like 5 minutes trying to get this connected. And so let me know you're here. Okay. I think I'm live. If you're on, let me know you're seeing me, because this has been a challenge. Because they've changed since the last time I did a live, and that's only been a couple of months. So anyway, I was supposed to have a plumber come here first thing this morning. I was his first stop this morning, and he's not here yet. So you know he's going to interrupt this live. Nothing I can do about it. I apologize, but that's the way things go. So what we're doing is a Santa hat, primitive. I've had requests for more primitive things, and that's what I'm doing. So I did primitive a long time ago when I had my first store, and I got out of it, but it's still a thing. So we're doing a Santa hat. Apple Dolly has a bunch of things going on right now. We're getting our name trademarked. I'm working on a website. I'm working on an Amazon store. Yeah, so lots of things. And I'm going to start doing shows again. So a couple of things. Yesterday I pinned to the top of Apple Dolly page grunge mix. That's what this goodness is. Now, I made this morning, and this is a quart jar, and you can see how much I've already used, because I did some of these steps ahead of time so that they would be dry. So you don't have to watch paint dry with me, so to speak. But what this is a cup of instant coffee. You have to use the instant. I'm sorry, half a cup of instant coffee, a cup of hot water. If you could use boiling water, is better. So it's telling me something is wrong. I don't know what it's saying. I have to figure it out later. So if you're not hearing me or you're not seeing me, let me know. Nobody has hopped on yet. So we're just going to continue. If you see the little red square, you know you got me live. Otherwise, it's a replay, and you probably already know that. But for some reason, they're telling me I'm going to tell you that. So I told you. I don't know why they would care. But anyway. So this is grunge. This is coffee grunge. This is, if you are primitive, this is your liquid gold. So it's a cup of very hot water, boiling if you can use it. If a half a cup of instant coffee, 2 tablespoons of vanilla, 2 tablespoons. I use cinnamon because that's my favorite, but you can use like a pie spice, apple pie spice, pumpkin pie spice. If you like the smell of nutmeg, you can add more nutmeg. But you need the cup of hot water and a half a cup of coffee. From there, you can customize this to your smell. If you don't like those scents, like the cinnamons and the nutmegs and allspices and all of that, add whatever you like to this. If you only like nutmeg, then only add nutmeg. So, but you have to, once you make this, now this is a triple batch, but once you make this, it has to be stored in the refrigerator. Otherwise, it'll get moldy on you because it's food. Spices and coffee, it's food. And then when you take it out of the refrigerator, pop it in a microwave. Now, for how long? It depends on how much grunge you have. If you've only made the 1 cup of water, 30 seconds, 35 seconds, but like this, I put in for 2 minutes. Now, as you use this, and I don't know if you can see how it's settling in there? Can you see that? You constantly got to shake this up. So every time I go to use it, I shake it. Even after it's hot, you still have to shake it because those spices sink. They settle because they're not made to dissolve. They're made to mix in with your doughs and all of that, or your cookies, your pie dough, whatever. So it's not made to dissolve. They don't dissolve, your spices. So you constantly got to shake this. Now, I made this morning, and you can see how much of this I have already used because I've done one of these ahead of time. I was experimenting this week with I have a red velour fabric. So I wanted to know, because this is not a natural fiber. This is something that, it's man-made. It's not natural, like your muslin that we're going to be using too. Now that will take the grunge instantly. But this is not. This has an acrylic in it. It has a stretch to it. So what I did was I put this in a bucket and I made some grunge and poured this over, totally covering this. And I let it sit like however long that day and all night. And it didn't take any color. None at all. So if you're using a fabric that you want to grunge, and it's like this, it will not take your color. Take a container. This is the bottom part of the Dawn bottle that I used this morning. Put your grunge, shake it, put your grunge in here, how much you think you're going to use. Because once you're done with this container, you can't dump it back in your bottle because it'll be ruined. Your whole jar will be ruined. Because what we're going to do to this is we're going to squirt in, this is Apple Barrel Indoor Outdoor Real Brown paint. I craft like I cook. I don't measure. I just squirted a big dollop in there because I had this morning almost full. Because I've been working on this most of the day. So after I put my paint in here, I put school glue in here. Now you want your consistency to be like a runny pancake syrup when you put your glue in here. Now if you would take this mixture that has the glue and the paint in it, and I would dump it in my jar, the next time I go get my jar, I would have a big ball of ugh in there, and it would be ruined. So if you have your fabric and it won't dye, and you add the glue to it, mix it in something else, because whatever's left in here today has to be thrown away. But even at this, with the glue and the paint in here, it settles. I don't know if you can see that. It settles. So I have a real wide foam brush, and that and paper towel is what I use to grunge my fabrics. But I'm constantly stirring this up because it settles. I mean, like instantly starts settling. Now this is a piece of Warm and Natural that I had. So I threw this in the bucket with the velour, thinking when I take this out, this should be coffee black. See? It has a little color. So this is not real Warm and Natural, because Warm and Natural instantly absorbs any the grunge. I don't know why this keeps popping up. So so I took this morning And you can see it has just a little color to it. And I use the glue and paint mixture to darken it. Because it didn't matter how many times I put the grunge on this piece, it did not darken. So this is not true Warm and Natural like I thought it was. So I grunged it up more. Now when I was doing this, I took some of the coffee granules and just squeezed them through my fingers and sprinkled it over the fabric. And I even put some more cinnamon on this. I just took it and sprinkled it on. And then I took another foam brush and rubbed it in. So if the foam brush isn't working, use paper towel and rub it in with the paper towel. It's stiffer than what this is because this has the glue in it, but this is the look I was going for. Okay? Hi, Francis. So, I'm waiting on my cupcake delivery. That's a joke. She makes cupcakes. She lives in Pennsylvania, and I'm always telling her, asking her if she delivers. So another thing I did was I used muslin, and I made tassels. Now, I don't want a pom-pom on this hat. You can use a pom-pom. You can use faux fur, and you don't have to use the Warm and Natural. You can use faux fur as your trim. But this, I cut a long strip. Oh, that's my paper towel. I cut a long strip, and I just fringed it with scissors. So you would get, just a fringe. And then I took it, this one's still really wet, and I started wrapping it. And as I wrapped it, I put hot glue here and there to hold it. But this one is like, I just did this one, so it's really wet. So you get a tassel. And this is what I am using. You don't have to use this. Now, between now and the day after Thanksgiving, if you like, share, comment on any of Apple Dolly posts, whether it's something that I've made for a customer or one of these lives. The two top contributors, and I've already set the analytics up on my page, and so it'll tell me the two top contributors. That means you post. You're on your way, Francis. Okay. I'll see you in about 12 hours. We'll be able to pick anything that I have made on these lives as a free gift. 2 of you. So, and I'm going live again Friday, which is something that you are absolutely it's going to blow your mind. I used to do this in my first store, and I totally forgot about it. And I was unpacking a box that I have not unpacked for quite a while of my craft supplies. And I came across a whole bunch of my craft, what I call craft recipes. And Friday, you need some nightlight bulbs. I'm telling you that, and you got to make a trip to Lowe's, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it. Because you are not going to believe what you've been paying for something and that we're going to make for pennies. So we're going to get started. So this is the velour that I've been trying to get dyed, and it wouldn't dye. So this has the glue and the paint mixture. And I sprinkled more cinnamon and more coffee on this. So this is, and this also, I put some red glitter on. Just because it's Christmas, right? Just because it's primitive doesn't mean it can't be a little pretty, a little gussied up. So I have these labels I got from Dollar General. They come in a box. There's 24 in a box, and they're just like a thin cardboard. And I also coffee grunged this. So I don't like the ribbons that come on them. I pull these off. I tried to grunge one of them. It didn't grunge very well because this is not a natural fabric. So I just throw these in. I have a box that I put ribbon scraps in that I use on my dolls. So that's where these go. But there's 24 in here for $4. And they grunge very well. Paint, You can stencil them, whatever. Because this is like cardstock, so it takes whatever you're doing to it very well. Also, jingle bells. Two things. They come mainly in gold and silver. Now around holidays, hi Diana, hi Mom, you can get colored ones. Now these colored ones, especially if you want a bigger one, you're only going to get a couple for $3-4. Buy the ones, the cheap ones, and go to Dollar Tree, Dollar General, hey, maybe even in your own vanity, grab the color of nail polish you want, polish these up. It takes 3 coats of nail polish, and then put a clear coat over them. Custom colors. Also, if you want rusty ones, now those rusty ones, they are a little pricey, especially if you use them like me. This one is very rusty. I rusted this and I forgot about it. So it's like very rusty. So what I do is I take a bottom of a water bottle, something disposable. You can use those red cups, whatever disposable. Put your bells in it, however many you're going to use, and put acetone over them. And check them periodically till they are rusted like you want it. This one, like I said, in the store, I forgot about because I was busy working on customer orders, and it got very rusty. Actually, I like that look, so I need to forget about them more often. I went to do these yesterday. I have no nail polish remover. You have to use the acetone. The other stuff, I don't even know what it's made for. It's marketed as nail polish remover. It won't even remove nail polish. So it's not going to do a thing if you don't use 100% acetone. So what I did this morning is I just took my brown paint and I just painted these a little bit just to make them look a little rusty. So I got the tag done, I got the bells done, and this is the hat. Now this is the velour fabric that I don't know what this pop-up means. It keeps popping up here. So for those of you just joining, 2 things. I have a plumber coming, was supposed to be here first thing this morning. I was supposed to be his first stop, and he's not here yet, so he is probably going to interrupt. You know how that goes. So I will have to go answer the door. And the 2 top contributors from now to the day after Thanksgiving, if you like, comment, and share, you have to do all 3, anything on Apple Dolly, whether it's a bear or a pillow I made, one of these lives. 2 of you, the 2 top contributors, are going to win something that we're going to make between now and then. And Friday's live is going to blow your mind. I'm telling you right now, you're going to say, I've been paying this much for this, and I can make it for pennies. You're going to love it. So I was going to do it today, but I ran out of vanilla. So, and you have to have vanilla. But you need night light bulbs. So those are 2 things I'm telling you that you need. And you have to make a trip to Lowe's. And I'm not telling you what you're getting at Lowe's until Friday. So, suspense. So, we're going to take this and we're going to glue it. We've already grunged our hat and everything. And I'm going to show you my process. Let me get that out of the way. That's the one we're going to finish. This ain't dry yet. I have some muslin here. Now, this is a more expensive muslin. You can get this at Walmart. Let me see, the tag's still on here. They call this linen. This is not linen. This is a heavyweight muslin. This is what I use in dolls. But you can buy a cheaper muslin. Sometimes you can find it like $1 a yard. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Nicole. But this is a heavyweight muslin. Like I said, I use it in my dolls. And it's $3.44 a yard. And even at that, I mean, it's wide. It's not I don't think it's that bad. But if you're going to do a ton of these, yeah, you want to go for the cheaper muslin. Also, if you're going to put this on the outside of your door as a wreath, you want to, I miss you too, Melissa. You want to stuff this with your plastic grocery bags. There's a use for those. But if you're just going to use it inside your house, you can use fiberfill. You can tear apart an old pillow. This is the only thing, the only time I would tell you that you can use your dryer lint, because this is not something that you're going to wash ever. And if you've ever heard me go off about dryer lint, you know what I'm talking about, because some bear makers use dryer lint, Hi Tressa, use dryer lint as stuffing in their bears, which causes bugs. You're not going to get bugs in here because we're using stuff that bugs don't like. You know, bugs don't like cinnamon, and this has a ton of cinnamon. So the size of your hat, it depends on what you want to use it for. I am making a very big hat. Let me get you the dimensions of this. And I'm not using a pattern either. I'm just eyeballing this and cutting it. It's just two triangles. That's all it is. So this is 22 by 20. And then the, whether you're using faux fur, this is warm and natural, whatever you're using. This is, of course, you want it the length of the widest part of your hat on the bottom, but this is 4 inches wide. But the dimensions depend on how big your hat is. You can make these any size. You can make little ones and give them as gifts. You can make little ones and put something in it and give it as a gift. So, yeah, you can do anything you want with these. Then you get this one. This is the one we're going to finish. Let's get it out of the way because it's dry. But let's get back to this one. So, if your fabric does not have a straight edge, this is how you get a straight edge. You rip it. Just make a slit and rip it. And your fabric now has a straight edge. Even if you go to the fabric store and have this cut, more than likely you are not going to get a straight edge. I don't care. They use those scissors down the center of that groove in the table. For some reason, they don't get a straight edge. So what we're doing, let me get these, I have florals sitting here. Another thing is I have these iced berry picks. They came like this at long pick from Hobby Lobby. I normally don't buy picks. I buy the garlands because, let me show you. I paid $6 for one of these because they did not have the garland. But if you, all this is a floral tape on here. Let me get one I've already done. Okay, here. You peel this floral tape off, you rip it off, and you have picks. You get a ton of picks for 20 bucks on a garland, opposed to paying $7 for this pick. I was making something for somebody and I needed iced berries, so I splurged for these picks. But yeah, you just pull these off. See how easy? You got picks. You just go right up the garland and pull this off. So you can save a ton of money if you're using a lot of picks in your decorating, in your trees, on your wreaths. Buy a garland and tear it apart. So I always keep these stems because, and I meant to do it the other day when I was at my daughter's, grab a whole bunch of pine cones. So you got pine cones everywhere. I don't have pine cones. But I glued one of these stems onto the bottom of a pine cone. I used Gorilla Glue, and this has gold, silver, and red. And then when it was dry, I stuck them in styrofoam to dry. When it was dry, I took a clear coat spray over it to seal in. My daughter has tons of pine cones. I have 2 gigantic acorn trees and 2 pecan trees. No pine cones anywhere on this street are there pine cones. Because I went looking in my neighbor's yard. I was going to ask them if I could steal some. My neighbors will get used to me. Took Tony a while to get used to me, but he's used to me now. All the crazy things that I did. So we're going to cut 2 triangles. And I'm doing big triangles. But they can be any size you want. So if you're making these a gift, you can fold your fabric however many times and cut out all the triangles at one time. Because you could put candies, you could put cookies in a cellophane bag, put them in one of these hats. Got 2 gifts in one. So, like I said, I'm just eyeballing this. It's just 2 triangles. And we're going, I can make sure this glue gun's on. When you're using a glue gun, you can get a very bad burn. See that? Wait, there we go. That's over a week old and it still hurts, and I'm using Neosporin on it every day. But that took, I don't know how many layers off. So if you're using a glue gun, have a ice water near you, because that instantly stops the burn and stops you from getting 3rd-degree burns. So we have 2 triangles. And I just heard a car door. I bet that's the plumber. He was first thing this morning. Well, it was his very first stop. Hopefully he had, well, not hopefully, but he probably had an emergency somewhere. So we're gluing the 2 long sides. We are not going to be gluing the point, like an inch on each side, because we're going to stuff our tassel down in that opening and glue it closed. So I don't like the tassel on the outside. I like it inside the hat. So that's why we're gluing up to like an inch on both sides. Yep, I told you. There he is. Hold on, I am so sorry. Hey, come on in. How you doing? Yeah, I can give you the date. Okay. You also have to come in the kitchen.
Well, you know, don't worry, we got. Come through the kitchen. I'm sorry.
It's all 3 things.
Really?
Every time I put people hot water through this thing, this connection right here comes loose. On all 3 of them.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm online, so if you need me, just tell me.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so we're going to glue the long edges all the way up to an inch from to the point. Let me see. You can. There you go. You don't need to see me. Okay. So we're going to, and I'm just using hot glue. And I like the Gorilla Glue sticks because they hold it better.
Hello.
Hi, come on in.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And then I'm just going to press it. I'm going to press the 2 pieces together, and that will make the glue go into. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Trina. What that does is pushes the glue into fibers of your fabric, and it holds. So we're going to do both sides like that. And then we're going to turn this inside out. So because it's fabric, when we turn it inside out, and you have to use a good bit of glue on fabric to get it to stick. When we turn it inside out, we're going to have spots here and there that did not stick. So I'm a little off there, but that's fine because we're turning this inside out. But you want to press it really, really hard. And give it a second to dry. So then we're going to turn it inside out. And remember, our point is open there. So when you turn this, you are going to have spots here and there that come apart. Like this over here did. So you just re-glue it. It's not a big deal. And as we grunge this, we can add more glue. So lots of people from Pennsylvania are joining. Okay. I also signed up for a crafting group that they do crafts 24 hours a day. So I'm not sure what my time slot will be, but hopefully it's not the middle of the night, because I'm not a middle of the night person. I'm going to trim this off down here to even this up. And then we're going to get to grunge. Now the grunge is pinned to the top of the page, and I am going to be posting more of my craft recipes. I have one for faux flocking, a homemade Play-Doh that, especially for little ones, if they eat it, it's non-toxic. They can eat it because it's made out of food. So I'm trying not to burn myself. I got 2 burns on me now. So, okay, there we go. So at this point you can add your trim on the bottom. There it is. So this, the width of this depends on the size of your hat. You want it to be in proportion. You don't want a big hat like this and a tiny trim on the bottom. So this is going about 3 to 4 inches, and I'm not measuring. I'm just, you saw it folding that in half again, and I'm just cutting it. There's no exact science here. It's your preference. So when you make this, this morning when I made the grunge up, I ran out of vanilla. I had a little bit of coconut in the coconut extract, and I threw that in, and this smells so good right now. I think I'm going to use coconut along with my vanilla from now on because it smells really good. So I'm going to go beyond the hat a little bit because I'm going to be folding this, cutting this off. See? Not an exact science. So what I'm doing is I'm going to glue this on downward and then flip it up so I have like a rolled edge on the bottom. So and I'm going to fold this up. So I'm going to fold it up. And then when I do this, I'm going to roll this edge under a little bit just because I don't want a raw edge showing here. Even though this is primitive, I don't like raw edges. So I'm going to roll this up and glue it. I have finger protectors. I don't know why I never put them on. Of course, finger protectors wouldn't have helped my finger there the other day because it's up higher than the finger protector goes. So, can you see that? Okay. You'll see it better once I grunge this hat. So, every time you use this grunge, you have to keep this in the refrigerator after you make it. Pop it in the microwave to warm it up. Because, can you see the settlement? That's my spices that I put in there that settle. Because they are not made to dissolve like the coffee. They are made to add, to enhance whatever you're making. So you constantly got to shake this. Now, on the other hat, to this mixture, and I always dump this into something else because that's just something I do. Now, if your fabric won't, and I think I said this in the beginning, if your fabric will not take this grunge, just like that velour would not take this grunge, it would not dye. Add glue, and I always put a squirt of brown paint, and I like this. It's indoor outdoor, and it's real brown. It's called, it's apple barrel. Apple barrel. See that? I like this paint. So, but this is a natural fabric, and it's going to take this grunge, and you'll see. So I always use a foam brush with this, or you can use paper towel too, and just get it saturated, and then just put it on. Now I added more coffee to this after the water cooled down, because instant coffee will not dissolve in cold water. So I just sprinkled some more in, just because I like the look of the coffee granules on my stuff that I make. Now at this point, because it's wet, you can go ahead and sprinkle some more whatever spice you're using on here. So when you do that, just sprinkle it on. Use another foam brush or a piece of paper towel and rub it in. Now this has red glitter in it too. Now the spices that I use for crafting, I do not keep in my kitchen. They are strictly for crafting. I don't mix the two. Same way with my vanilla. I went to the kitchen cabinet this morning to get the vanilla, and to get more vanilla because I ran out in my craft supplies. But I'm out totally. I didn't realize that. But this smells amazing. Coffee, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger. So there's what we have. Now, you see the streaks? Those will dry just as darkness, like a fold in a hat. If you don't like it, then go the other way. And when it dries, it'll totally, you will not see those streaks. But that also could be from the cinnamon that I just rubbed in. So you do both sides. You glue whatever trim you're using, on both sides. So at this point, I'm going to put this aside and let this dry. And we're going to move on to the one that I already have done. And that's this one that gave me such a problem. Get all of that out of the way. Okay, so this one is dry. Now this fabric is stiffer because I had to add the glue to the mixture. Once you add glue and paint to this, do not dump it back into your jar of grunge, because when you go to pull this out of the refrigerator again, you will have a ball of yuck in there and you will not be able to use it. Try it. I'll tell you my mistakes so you won't make them. So at this point, if you think, well, I want more, you can keep adding layers of grunge to this. You can just keep adding. Now this I just did does not have glue in it. Like I said, if you add the glue, you want it to be like a pancake syrup. So it takes quite a bit of glue to your grunge mixture. And then when I do that, I always add a squirt of paint and more cinnamon. That's my preference. Once you do this, you will see. Okay, so we're going to glue on I thought I purchased Warm and Natural. This is not real Warm and Natural. Warm and Natural is just like a fuzzy fabric. It's like a wool type stuff. But if this was true, it should be coffee black right now, and it's not. So that kind of upsets me because I bought a bunch of this to do something with. I'm making some sheep, and this ain't going to work. So that means I got to go back to the drawing board. So okay, so I'm going to put the glue on and put the Warm and Natural on. Sometimes it feels like you're working with a snake here. So because I want this to be a rolled edge, and I'm pressing this up. Okay, I'm confusing myself this way because I want the dark side on the front, so I got to do it like this. I'm just confusing myself. That's okay. That's easy to do anymore with me. So I'm working on the Amazon store. Apple Dolly is being trademarked. Working on a website. So I'm going to be selling not only things I make on the website, I'm going to be selling craft supplies on the website. Because there's stuff that when I go to buy it, I buy it at a certain place, they no longer have it. I hate that. When they change up or they don't sell. General crafting supplies should always be available. So I'm going to sell my own. Okay, so now we're going to put along the top edge here and roll this. We're going to roll it up. So we have a rolled edge on the bottom. See that? And we're going to do it to both sides. Now for those of you that just joined, if you like, share, comment on anything on Apple Dolly between now and Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, the two top people, I set up the analytics this morning, the two top people will get to choose anything that I have made between now and then. So, and you definitely want to come in on Friday for that live because you're going to be amazed. The first time that somebody showed me how to do that, I was like, oh my God, and I'm paying X amount of dollars for that item. I couldn't believe it. But as I said before, you can get craft supplies in every department of every store. So this one you're going to Lowe's for. Friday's Live. So, there we go. So here on the edges, we're just going to stick them together. We're just going to glue them. Because remember, primitive is not, and nothing handmade looks like you can go to a store and buy it. Remember that. But when you are buying from, whether you're buying food, you're buying cupcakes from Francis, or candles from Nicole, you're supporting a dream, you're supporting a small business. And isn't that what we're supposed to do? Support each other? So I'm also working on another Facebook page for Apple Dolly, that if you make anything that you see on these lives, you can post and share what you've done and what you did differently, because everybody looks at something and comes up with their own ideas. So there we go. Let me glue that down a little bit. I only have hot glue sticks right now. I don't have low glue sticks. So yeah, you got to be very, very careful, because this burn on my finger is about a week and a half old. And let me tell you, that puppy still hurts. Okay. So there you go. So then, up here, we left this open. Now, all I did was take a piece of, let me get just a strip of muslin. I folded it in half, folded it in half again, folded it in half again. So on all these folds, you want to cut all the way up to like an inch from the edge. All the folds. And then you want to cut strips. You see? Now these strips can be as wide or as narrow as you want them. Go all the way up to an inch from, you can make some wide, some narrow. It's totally up to you. So you just got to keep your strips all lined up and then cut them. So there you go. So then you get this long strip of fringe like this. So you just take a small bit of glue at the beginning. And this is better to do when your glue gun first starts heating up, and just roll this. Roll it as tight as you can get it, and keeping your edge straight all the way around. And you do it till you get to the end, and periodically you put more glue here and there. That just holds it together. So then you get this. You get a tassel. So what I did was I just shook my jar, dunked this in the grunge, and then just squeezed out the excess and just let this dry. So that's how we got to this point. So this is probably an hour drying. I took paper towel and squeezed it to get the excess out. So now all we're going to do is we're going to open this up, and we're going to squeeze this in this opening. And push it down in there. and then we're going to glue it. So to me, this looks better than a pom-pom. But if you like a pom-pom, put a pom-pom. Remember, it's yours. You can do as you want. And then I'm just going to squeeze this all back. Now I'm putting these things on. You only get burned really bad once, and then you remember. So, I don't know how long this burn is going to take to go away. But these things would not have helped because the glue fell out of the gun and hit my finger. So, just going to squeeze that. Okay. So then, as you see, I got glue. Just pull it off. As soon as it starts getting a little hard, you can just pull it off. And there you go. What do you think? This is it. So now comes the fun part. Decorating. I have these candy canes. I got these in a pack at Hobby Lobby. I have a burlap ribbon this is Dollar Tree. Make a bow. You can make a bow with the jute, but we're going to put some of these on here, and then we're going to stuff it. Now these are wire clippers. You have to have wire clippers if you're going to craft, because your scissors are not going to work. So I'm going to pull one of these picks apart and just get these little pieces, because we don't need a whole pick. I'm going to use some of the greenery that I got from Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree right now, they have really upped their game on their florals. They have really nice ones. Cut that off. So, let me cut this off. I'm just leaving a little bit of the stem. Just a little tiny bit. See that? Can you see? Just a little tiny bit. Because we don't need these long wires. Now, in some things you do, but normally when I get a pick, I just take it all apart. And I leave the long wires because I don't know what I'm going to use them for. But I hardly ever use a pick the way it comes. That's just me though. So I'm going to cut apart, take some of this greenery. Now I looked for, yesterday I looked for holly. That's what I was looking for. And poor Tony, on his day off, I was dragging him around. He is working today, and I don't see him here, so he isn't able to tune in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just take some hot glue, and I'm just going to put a bunch in a corner. So let's see, I can get these glue sticks off here. Okay, so I'm just going to put a gob of glue. Now that's a big gob of glue, but we're going to use it. Then I'm just going to stick these picks in there, and I'm going to stick this pine cone. Let's see, we need another kind of a leaf. So you have a good bit of working time here till this glue settles. Because I have all kinds of florals here. I have florals like baby's breath that was left over from our wedding. I have just whatever I just pulled out. So let me get another one of these pieces of pick. I'm just going to take a piece of one and stick it in there. See, this glue under this pine cone is still workable. So I have some of this red too. Let's add some of these. Ouch. These, I've got to get some low temp glue sticks. I must have used them all in the other store because I had a whole case of them. And on my website, you will be able to buy glue sticks by the case. Because if you're like me, glue sticks don't last very long. So it's just trial and error. Do you want this? Do you want that in there? Yeah, I want that. I want part of this. Now some of these plastics with these flowers, the glue starts to dissolve the plastic. But if you get it stuck down pretty quick, you're pretty good. So what does that look like? Let me get my hand out of the way, all of this out of the way so you can see. Just in the corner of the hat, just as a decoration. Now we can stick a candy cane in there if you wanted. No, I don't think it's needed. You might think, yeah, you need to put the candy cane in there. Should I put the candy cane in there? Let me know. You can also take the candy canes and cross them. Like that. And put them somewhere else on the hat. Maybe up here. Whatever you want to do. We can take jute and... Well, what about a jingle bell? We can put a jingle bell up here, huh? That would be cute. You think that would be cute up here with the pom-pom? So comment and let me know what you think so far. Remember, the more you comment, like, and share, the more chances you have to win. So, there is the pom-pom with the jingle bell. And there's the corner of the hat with the florals. So we're going to stuff this. And I've got fiberfill here. But if you're going to put this on your door, you could use grocery bags. Whoops. See, we have a spot right there. And you don't know until you stick your hand on the inside, just because this is glue. Let me press that together. Once this is glued and the glue dries, it's glued. You don't have to worry about it. And those of you that do crafting, like Trina there, you know this glue is vicious. So you want to get your stuffing up into the top of the hat. Now you don't want this to be, unless you are like, you can make this into a pillow, you want it very full. But if you're not going to use this as a pillow, you just want a little puffy. See, just a bit puffy. You can't tell it's puffy, huh? Let me glue this flower down some more. Now I like putting the glue on the floral instead of on the hat or whatever you're doing. You have more control of placement that way. Because if I stick the glue on the hat or whatever I'm making, it may not be directly lined up with what I'm gluing. So I like it right on the item itself. And you can use your glue gun to like try and push it into the glue because you don't want your fingers in that. I've had a burn from the glue gun that I had to go to the hospital for. It was so bad. Tony wanted to take me to the hospital the other day for this finger because I actually got lightheaded from it. It hurt so bad. So it's going to take quite a while for it. Hi, Joni. It's going to take quite a while for it to heal. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
She's gonna call you.
Okay.
I'll be back Saturday.
Okay.
Alright?
Alright, thanks. I have a repairman here because we're having problems with the sinks. So, there you go. So there, now it's not so floppy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, after I got the stuffing in here, let me put a little more. This is fiber fill. You can use all kinds of stuff to stuff this with because this is nothing that's ever going to be laundered. Now, if you're going to make this and it's going to be laundered, then you're not going to be able to grunge it because it will wash off, and you're going to have to sew it because the glue will come apart. I've even had fabric glue in the washer come apart. So, right now I am going to glue this closed all along the bottom. And I'm going to do sections so I can get the glue at its hottest. And this puppy right now is hot. This is a commercial glue gun that I got when I had my first store. And that store closed in 2000. So that's how old this thing is. I keep saying I'm going to buy a cordless one, but this one and this glue gun and I have been through a lot of crafting together. So as long as it holds up, I guess I'll just keep it going. So why get rid of the old stuff when it still works? And I'm going back and I'm pressing the fabric together. Ouch. So you can put a hanger on this. Now, if you're going to use this as your gift bag, you're going to put something inside of it. Don't do the fiber fill naturally. But I'm going to take some of this jute. And as I said before, I cook. I craft like I cook. I just do it. So I don't know. That's probably about 12 inches that I cut off there. I know some people say, well, how much of this and how much of that? Oh, I had someone ask me for a recipe the other day. Tony's boss wanted the Alfredo recipe, and I was like, oh, I don't have a recipe. I just do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot in the center and tie another knot toward the end, toward each end, and that way it'll make a nice loop. And then I'm going to tie a knot both ends together and tie another knot. Now when you're using something like this, if you tie a knot and glue, push the knot into the glue, it's a better hold than if you would just put these raw edges and just glue those on. So the knot makes it hold better. Okay, I'm going to cut off this excess and decide where to put it. So I'm thinking just a few inches down from the pom-pom or the tassel. I'm going to put a dollop of glue. And then press that bottom knot into that glue. And yes, I'm going to use the finger protectors from Dollar Tree because, yeah, I don't want another bad burn like I do have on my other hand. Just a tiny drop of glue that day dropped on my leg. I was wearing shorts, and because I'm working on something else and I got to work out some kinks in it. And I had the biggest blister from a tiny little drop of glue. So there is the hanger. So you can hang your hat like a hat, or you can turn it upside down and hang it too. It depends on the look that you're going for. So those of you that just popped on, Joni, between now and the day after Thanksgiving, if you like, share, comment on any post on Apple Dolly, whether it's a live or something that I've made. The 2 top contributors are going to win something that I've made in this live. And Friday, y'all are going to be amazed at what we're making. But you need some nightlight bulbs. And that's all I'm telling you. So I made this tag, and I grunged this tag. Can't really tell it there, can you? You get it closer to the camera. There you go. And I rubbed more cinnamon on this. I just took a piece of twine. I'm putting it through the hole because I do not like the ribbons that come on these. And I'm going to just pull it through. Make a loop, pull it through. Now at this point, I didn't bring a pen or a marker with me. You can write anything on there. To, from, if you're giving it as a gift. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, God bless you, whatever you want on there. And then you can put it up here. I would put it up here where the jingle bell is. See? So, that is today's live. The grunge, coffee grunge recipe is pinned to the top of the page. I did that yesterday. But please keep this in your refrigerator. I mean, if you go to Dollar Tree and you buy your coffee and your spices and your vanilla, it's not that expensive, but if you don't keep it in the refrigerator, it will get moldy. And just when you pull it out of the refrigerator, pop it in the microwave. How long? It depends on how much grunge. Now, I have a quarter of a quart jar there, so I would put that in not quite a minute. Now this whole jar, I would do 2 minutes. But you constantly, you can see this is separating already. And I just shook it. So, if you have a fabric that won't dye with that coffee grunge, like the velour this hat is made with, do your coffee grunge in a separate container, pour it in there, add glue. I always put a squirt of, this is real brown paint, in there. Now you can use Mod Podge instead of glue. I just use glue because I buy it by the gallon, the white glue. Mix it up to the consistency of pancake syrup. Now this is just the coffee grunge. There's no more glue in this because this is very watery. See that? It's just very watery. But thank you for joining me. God bless you. Remember, you are enough. Whether someone says you are or not, you are. God loves you. God bless you. Thank you. Hop on Friday. I'll let you know Friday morning exactly what time because I have to let the things I'm doing with these bulbs dry for 24 hours. So, God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and comment anything on Apple Dolly for a chance to win. Bye.